Hello, Froshman. Welcome to Art Sqool. How are you all today?
I'm not Froshman. I've told you 1,000
Hello,
times.
Froshman. Welcome to Art Sqool. How are you today?
Fine.
Having a great time.
Hating capitalism.
Draw me a picture of Sonic the Hedgehog
Okay.
pregnant.
Yes.
Welcome to IndieCent, everyone. Welcome again.
Hello.
Today we are talking about Art Sqool, a twee game that for some reason reminds me of a terrible Cartoon Network show called Summer Camp Island where everything was alive and it made me want to vomit, but I actually like this game. But before we get into that, we got stories, we got what we've been playing, and yeah, let's just go ahead and get into it unless anyone has anything they want to add that has nothing to do with what we're about to talk about, because I know someone here wants to Elmo. Are you gonna throw out some nonsense for us again?
Huh?
Oh my god, he's speechless. I thought I'd never see the day.
I'm a proper thinky art student, Doc. I don't have time for your shenanigans.
Did you eat any ground chocolate?
No, I painted a beautiful picture of it. It was a metaphor
It's gonna be a little.
for the Notre Dame burning down.
It's gonna be a little special this episode since this game is all about making art. When we get to the main discussion, I will have a little slideshow for everyone watching this on YouTube of all our various art as it comes up in discussion. So I hope you all enjoy that. But for now, let's go ahead and get into our main story. And instead of anything too topical, I want to talk about two stories that were published by Kotaku by good old Jason Schreier. And yes, we all know what they are. BioWare time.
Yay, everyone's favorite game developer. How are they doing right now?
Bad.
Oh.
So, if you haven't been paying attention, BioWare released this game called Anthem back in February, like 4 times, I think, or something. And it wasn't good. And it probably won't be good for like 2 years at this rate, if we're lucky.
If it lasts that long.
Yeah, it's hard to say.
As if BioWare was still existing in 2 years.
But anyways, Jason Schreier did a piece on the Anthem development that's like an hour-long read, and it is called How BioWare's Anthem Went Wrong, link in the description. And, well, long story short, BioWare is probably fucked.
Wow.
He also did a follow-up piece in a few days on the current state of development for Dragon Age 4, and much the same story. Oh, there's a lot to go over in this disaster. I'm not even sure where I'm supposed to start.
But Dark, it's a hit piece tearing down individuals.
Oh yeah, I actually forgot to put down on my notes that BioWare got the basic notes of what the story was gonna be before it was published, and like before even like a minute after the story was published officially on Kotaku, even though they had no time to read it, they already put out a fucking response trying to decry it as a hit piece. And oh boy, that should give you an idea of how bad things are.
But the whole situation at EA, because this is sort of obviously part of a larger puzzle because EA are completely fucking nuts, is that BioWare, the company that make the single-player game, are doing a multiplayer game. The company that specialises, EA's sort of company that specialises in doing multiplayer games, you know, like Anthem, is doing a single-player game. What the fuck?
Well, the piece actually goes into it that like a lot of people were saying, oh, EA forced them to do this multiplayer game, but the piece they go into kind of points out that the idea for a multiplayer online shooter came from within BioWare. It makes it sound like they wanted to venture out and do something different for their studio.
Yeah, this similar thing happened with Mass Effect Andromeda, which also got a similar story like these. I think also from Jason Schreier, I forget. But basically what we found out from that was that their original plan was to focus more heavily on the experience of exploration, element of the Mass Effect trilogy, which, by the way, only barely existed in the first one, and then nobody cared because the second one realized characters were the most important thing. And so they they tried making a giant system that would make random planets for you to explore, but then they realized, oh shit, we don't know how to make actually exploring these planets interesting, and then No Man's Sky got announced. Oh, that caused problems. The entire development was screwed by too much ambition for this idea because it wasn't actually fun to do anything in these worlds worlds they were randomly making through algorithms. And eventually what Andromeda eventually got slapdash put together in like the last 2 years.
And as for BioWare, the main story behind Anthem is Frostbite. It's a bad engine for pretty much anything that isn't a dice shooter.
Yeah, on the EA side of things, the Frostbite engine thing was a massive problem because it lacked basic features that BioWare was used to having, which was bad for pretty much getting any significant development done in a good amount of time. And the people who were supposed to help BioWare figure out the Frostbite engine were too busy helping out the FIFA team because the FIFA team was considered the bigger moneymaker. So,
and they also had problems with the Frostbite engine, so they got priority.
Yeah.
They built FIFA in the Frostbite engine.
God.
The football game.
Frostbite is the engine developed, I believe, at DICE for their shooters, mainly Battlefield, but also Battlefront. It was not designed to be adaptable to other games, to other genres of game.
Tell that to EA management.
But EA wants to try to save time and money, so everyone just try and figure it out. And they keep having these problems.
It's like building FIFA football. Why would they build FIFA in a first-person shooter engine?
Time and money.
And it gets a bit more complicated because it turns out the management at BioWare itself may have been shit for a very long time. Anthem in particular had a really troubled development with a lot of management turnover, and it basically, going back to the aforementioned Dragon Age 4 story, that actually did have a solid plan for making the game properly, where everyone was on a page early on to figure out what they wanted to do, and they were going to do it. It was going to be this cool idea revolving around heist in I think the Mage Country in Dragon Age. But then Anthem was doing really bad and they had to complete it. So they just canceled the development of Dragon Age 4 up to that point, and the person in charge just quit the company. Because they had to get everyone on Anthem, which was definitely going to be great because of that BioWare magic, and by that I mean crunch.
Yeah, and in addition to just a lot of management turnover, the management that was coming in was very poor at actually making decisions. So it was very unclear to most of the staff what the game was even going to be, because no one could decide on features or schedules or anything like that.
And this was exacerbated because, remember, they were using an engine nobody knew how to use, so it took forever to do basic things in it, which means actually having a plan would have been really helpful for actually doing things. Which actually led to the most interesting part of the story. It turns out Anthem, when BioWare probably would have been canned if not for the flying feature they developed, then threw away. because they felt it didn't work with whatever vague idea of a game they had, and then they realized, oh shit, we need to wow EA management with something, and that was the only thing of any worth they had managed to make in years.
I mean, to be entirely blunt, from the point of perspective of somebody who doesn't play very many first-person shooters, it looks just like everything else. And you'd expect, because BioWare has made such character-driven games with such unique characters, being obviously Dragon Age and Mass Effect, you'd expect something more, and it just looks like every other generic sort of guy-in-suit shoot-'em game with futuristic stuff. It just looks like everything.
Yeah, it
looks like Destiny.
Except there are more woods, which is a leftover artifact from development where it was going to be an interesting idea of a survival game.
Part of the reason why the writing in that game is so bad and like straight up contradictory of things that are in the game is because they had one chance to like book the actors and do all the like high-tech performance capture stuff, and their only chance was before most of the game was even done. So they were talking about features and things that would happen in the game that they just didn't have time to put in.
Spectacular.
When you're writing a game, you have to write it in development with the production, but there was virtually no production at the time when they had to record all of this.
I think the most worrying thing about all this, though, was it revealed that BioWare's management in general has always been kind of bad, because that term BioWare Magic.
Yeah.
Apparently, just about every project they've ever done has been like this. A complete mess until the end, where everything magically came together by forcing everyone to go into massive overtime, to the point that they actually had the term stress casualties to describe people who suffered complete emotional or mental breakdowns and had to be let off work.
Yeah, I think the most damning thing about this game, if I can digress a little bit, back when we were talking about, back when everyone was talking about Rockstar and their crunch problems, and some of the conversations defending it, or going against people who were saying, oh, I'm not going to buy this game because of this, because of the way they're treating their employees, people would go, well, the devs still depend on game sales, you're punishing them for stuff, for this and that, don't you want their hard work to mean something? And the most damning part of the BioWare Anthem article is when it talks about how devs who went through terrible crunch on Dragon Age Inquisition, they hoped the game would, this game that they had worked and torn apart their lives over, they hoped it would fail so that BioWare would learn its lesson.
Yeah, and the entire reason this story was even possible is because so many people within the company were willing to speak anonymously, because they were hoping it would actually cause some shift in BioWare that desperately needed to be done. And hopefully that might be happening, but I don't know if it's going to happen fast enough. Because it seems like the only part of BioWare that's any good is BioWare Austin, the people behind the Old Republic, because they actually seem like victims in all this too, because they got roped in on Anthem, and even though they're the only people in the company that know anything about online multiplayer games, trying to give advice on how to make Anthem fun and work, were constantly ignored because the main BioWare office thought they were the best thing ever. Which sadly is not even a joke, it's literally what they believe. And I should mention, did we mention what the code names of all these games are?
This one was Beyond, right?
No, that was one of the working titles, but the code name was I think based off famous musicians who changed music. I think one was crap, I forget. Dragon Age has two different ones now because of the old Dragon Age 4 and the current one. For Anthem, what was it? Choplin or something like that? No, Jacqueline. Joplin? I think they named
something
it
like that.
I think they named it after Janis Joplin or something. or one of the
Perhaps
Beatles.
not the best.
Yeah, it was someone's name because it was gonna be like, what was
The
it? I'm trying
blank
to,
of
skimming through the article to
gaming.
find it. I'm skimming the article
I
to
just
try
remember
and
Bob
find
Dylan
it.
being in it at one point. And that
Oh
was it.
yeah, they definitely did that at some point.
Dylan. It was called Dylan.
That's it. I'm getting mixed up because they gave because like every project that I've mentioned has gone into pretentious working name for some reason.
Which reminds me, the game being called Anthem. The game was called Anthem. Like they settled on that title because they had to make a title. Like they had to
And Beyond Two Souls
lock
came
down
out,
a
so
title
couldn't
before
use
they.
that.
Yeah, they had to lock down a title way before they had any real story. So they just called it Anthem, and then they had to work around it to try and figure out why it would be called Anthem.
It's also worth mentioning that a lot of the talent at BioWare that people often associate with the company just don't work there anymore, partly because of these awful practices at the company. And which makes
Yeah.
Casey Hudson weird because he actually left and then came back just to finish Anthem, and I think he regrets that decision.
Yeah, I haven't spoken to her like personally about this, but I do have a mutual who, when she followed me and I followed her back, she was working at BioWare on Anthem, and then sometime last year, last year, she left BioWare and got a job in game development up in, I think, Montreal, and she has been very vocally happy with how her newer job is going, I guess, compared to her old one.
I'm willing to bet that BioWare Austin's going to be the only part of BioWare that's going to exist in a few years. Because I'm calling it now, Dragon Age 4 is going to be a disaster because people within the team are already calling it Anthem with Dragons, and oh no. Oh no.
I wonder, though, if it's going to still benefit from the Dragon Age name, because this was like an attempt at a new IP, but there are a lot of, like, there weren't Anthem fans, well, of course, there were BioWare fans who were Anthem fans before they even saw Anthem, but...
And then they realized, oh, this is a multiplayer game.
There are a lot more people who love those Dragon Age games, and will probably buy it no matter what.
I think well, that was the case, but Dragon Age 2 was a disaster, and the third game, Inquisition, got a very mixed response to the, like really half-baked online elements, and the changing of quest design, so where it's more like an MMO. Not a ton of people were as hot on that game as you would think. The idea for Dragon Age 4 originally sounded really interesting. I think would have probably brought the series back to form, but I don't think the name alone is going to do it, especially after these stories have come out. And I've seen a lot of people who have been fans of these games, especially queer people who appreciate just how many queer characters BioWare have started putting in their games, especially in Dragon Age, are just like,
I think it would take a disaster of Andromeda proportions, because
and I'm betting
I still
happen.
I still only ever see people fondly talking about Dragon Age and asking for more Dragon Age, and it was the same with Mass Effect, and then Mass Effect Andromeda killed all of that.
Yeah, and I think, well, honestly, I don't think they're definitely not talking about Dragon Age 2. I've only seen a few people who like Dragon Age 2, and they're always the weirdos who don't like the other ones. It's an interesting divide. But I don't think that goodwill is going to last because, like, everyone's starting to become aware a lot of the talent that made Dragon Age Special don't work there anymore. A lot of the talent that made Mass Effect Special definitely don't work there anymore. It's becoming clear that the management doesn't know what they're doing, and now with all the stories, there's just a lot of general negativity around the BioWare brand, and that is how it should be because everything that's come out is nightmarish. It's not just that they're bad at making games, it's that they're treating their employees so terribly they have complete breakdowns. And the fact that the EA's involvement in this is trying to push them more into things they don't know how to make and don't want to make, it's incredibly worrying. Because they're already talking about making Dragon Age 4 as some sort of live service, and oh god.
Ugh.
Ugh.
Did anyone see the other story about crunch time, where how there's so many stories about how crunch time is terrible, and how the horrible effect it has on workers, but then one person came out and said, my company wouldn't have survived without crunch time, and like the headline of the article is, former Telltale Games CEO, my company would not have survived without crunch time.
I saw that and lost it.
We needed crunch to stay afloat. Picture of sunken ship.
Is there any companies that don't do crunch? Because it seems to be just this omnipresent sort of practice now in gaming that just everything is crunch.
I think there are a few. I think Ubisoft is actually pretty good about scheduling game development, which is weird.
I don't work in the games industry, but I'm going through crunch. Like half of my colleagues just got let go, and it's just like, you can do it. That was just a personal whine there. I'm sorry.
But yeah, the big thing here is that like something has to change in the bigger game market right now, because especially now that if you look at Activision, you notice they're trying to shift entirely away from the what we usually consider video games to be, just to get more money from well, basically just to feed on gambling addicts forever, because I think Jim Sterling has said it best in this particular area. They don't want money, they want all of the money, especially because the shareholders get fucking terrified the moment a company isn't constantly expanding, even if they've already created the single most profitable piece of media that has ever existed, aka Grand Theft Auto 5. So, like, things are gonna be bad in the industry for a while, because they've reached a point where they can't really grow anymore, and they're trying to find whatever cheat they can to just make even more money, and it's gonna hurt games, it's gonna hurt art, and it's definitely gonna hurt the people who are trying to make games and art.
Yeah, it's scary. Like, the more huge successes the more a game like just breaks records and just brings in tons and tons of revenue. Like, the more you get a huge success like Fortnite, then you get just salivating shareholders demanding that every game be the new Fortnite and get them Fortnite money. And if it's not Fortnite money, it's a failure. Like, you got us $100 million instead of $1 billion. Get the fuck out.
God, can you imagine how bad Steam would be if they went public? Jesus Christ. It's already bad now without anyone keeping them in, without anyone there with a stake in the company itself. But imagine if there were people with stakes in the company. Jesus Christ.
Fuck capitalism.
And games are just getting more and more expensive to make, and they're not being given the time to account for that.
That's
they're not being given time to account for the time and resources.
The thing is, games being more expensive to make is arguable, because in a lot of ways, publishers tend to overspend on a lot of projects for things nobody really wants. It's like a self-fulfilling prophecy at this point.
Yeah, they definitely don't need to be that expensive, but they're getting that more expensive because those are the demands being put
by people who don't even
we have
make
to dump
games.
This much money in. Like, you don't have to, but you have to because your boss says you do.
It's nonsense.
And and they're just demanding more and more money out of them, and it's heading towards collapse.
Oh yeah. I think Ubisoft is the only smart player here, even though we can say a lot about Ubisoft's constantly gentrified game design and their occasional bouts of accidental racism or homophobia, but like the way they run their business, I haven't heard any stories about crunch from them. Apparently they're one of the better people you can work for in the game industry on that level, and they seem to be doing just fine making the money they're making. They actually were in threat of getting bought out by another company at one point, but managed to avoid it. So like, this is the one area where Ubisoft is in the right, and that's fucking me up.
That's probably due to their nationality more than anything else.
Yeah.
That's the French way. I mean, they're obviously in the news. We obviously sort of, how much do they contribute towards Notre Dame? Sort of 5 or 6 million. I think it's something like that. It was like, oh, by the way, Mass
That was
Effect.
500,000 maybe.
It was a reasonable size of money, but it's sort of like, yeah, Ubisoft actually probably are better than a lot of the companies, probably primarily because they're French, and French working directives are nuts.
Meanwhile, in America,
Of course, they can still demand free labor as a contest.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
Oh yeah, fuck. Oh yeah, that Beyond Good
They're
and
not
Evil
great.
2,
To be fair, that's just a thing I think every company does. Like, remember when Annabelle Creation came out? That movie nobody saw? That was part of
Vaguely.
that series of movies from the Conjuring universe that nobody ever sees, apparently. Or maybe they do. I don't know if they make money or not. They just happen, and sometimes I hear about it. Well, they had a contest where the director of the movie was advertising it, and it turns out if you submitted a film, it became property of the studio.
Hell, the same thing happened with Yakuza 6, where they were like, "Hey, we're gonna release an art book with the Yakuza 6 special edition. Submit your art to be put in the art book."
It's art now.
Yeah,
Yeah, but
you're not getting anything for it, but exposure bucks.
Yeah, but you get that all the time with sort of thing, you know, like every other video game comes out and DeviantArt runs a contest and mysteriously, hey, look, it belongs to the company now.
I do understand it with fan art. At least I can understand some of why someone would be okay with that. But with original content, like, go fuck yourself. That's just, that's absolutely predatory.
Yeah.
Video games are bad.
Yeah.
We're an anime podcast now. There are never any problems in anime with working conditions.
Oh, boy. Only people working like 90-hour weeks.
So, hey. Never any problems in anime production. Oh, I should find that one Shirabaku diaper mask has common consented to Danny.
No, you shouldn't.
No, you really shouldn't.
You can't stop me. Let's move on to what we've been playing.
Yay.
Fuck EA.
Okay, who wants to go first? You got 7 minutes, of course.
Yeah. Let's go.
Alright, Tom is going, I guess.
Yeah, sure. What have I been playing this week?
These past 2 weeks.
These past 2 weeks? Well, mostly this week. I haven't really been playing anything the other weeks because I have been playing Final Fantasy XIV. It's still good.
You just can't stop playing that mahjong, huh?
I haven't got to the mahjong. I have a feeling the mahjong isn't actually in like the bait because I'm a cheapskate and I'm not paying for it yet. But it's fun. Yeah, I went for the free trial, which I think goes up to level 20, 30 something. And it's like, if I can be bothered to pay for it, but it's fun. It's really fun. But it's like, I wish, and this is sort of a general rant, because I think sort of the last few Final Fantasy games have not been particularly good, and this is like the best. This is, well, let's be fair. You've got, let's see, Final Fantasy XII, which is good, but sort of is only good really now because you've got the Zodiac Edition out on pretty much every console and the Sun now.
Yeah, I really respect that game, but at the same time, its systems are confusing.
Oh, definitely. It feels like a sort of a strange. I mean, obviously, I will probably buy the Zodiac Edition because I've only got the original Final Fantasy XII, and apparently, according to pretty much everybody I've talked to about the Zodiac Edition, it's so much better than this. But anyway, there's sort of I think really since Final Fantasy XII, Final Fantasy has struggled as a series to find an identity, because
Yeah, the development of 15 was a mess, 13 was a disaster, and only Lightning's Return was any good because you can dress up Lightning as a cat girl.
And hell, even 14 had its problems, because 14, the original of 14, ended with Square Enix starting over and actually in canon nuking the world.
Oh yeah, I keep forgetting that.
It's like, yeah, it's that bad. We had to destroy the world and start over. And I wish this is the sort of a completely... This is never going to happen, but I wish we would get another Final Fantasy game, like a proper... Not sort of, whatever the hell 15 was trying to be in a sort of a modern setting, but fantasy elements, or sort of whatever 13 was trying to be. Sort of something more like...
13 was trying to be the most confusing piece of fiction ever written.
And it succeeded. But the problem is, it's sort of, the further... I think this is a personal thing. With the possible exception of 7, which... Yeah, we're never getting that remake, are we?
No.
That's never happening, and to be honest, I think if it does, it will be the game that kills gaming, because...
Coming 2029, Final Fantasy VII Remake by Gearbox.
Part 1. It will. I don't think we will. The problem is, it's like the Chinese democracy of video gaming.
Oh, so it's never...
It will never quite live up to... Because I think we have this idea...
And then when it comes out, it's just going to be the main creative lead whining about everyone else he ever knew.
It's just not... Yeah, which is Nomura's typical thing. And Nomura just needs to... Somebody needs to take Nomura, go, Tetsuya, you designed some brilliant characters. Go sit in a corner. Go do whatever it was you want with KH. Just leave somebody to do Final Fantasy VII's remake, because you cannot delegate anything. And I think
I'm
is
still kind of
becoming
mad that Eidos got screwed out of making their own Final Fantasy, but at the same time, it probably would have been racist.
Very, very, very racist. But no, I think 14 captures something that the Final Fantasy series hasn't been for a while, which is a solid, fun adventure fantasy game. And it's sort of strange that it would be, of all these things, it's the MMORPG that sort of is now in sort of its 4th or 5th year of existence. That's actually the best thing that Square Enix have done in probably the last decade.
Oh, that's depressing.
It's just it does. You get into this world, and the world feels, obviously, but not only because of the NPCs, but obviously it feels like a lived-in world. And it's really strange, and it's quite difficult to explain it as sort of other than...
Also, it's apparently about why fascism is bad.
Yeah.
Then actually, when you think about it, that's the main theme of a lot of Final Fantasy games.
Oh, absolutely. Final Fantasy has happily cribbed off Star Wars for 30 years. in some cases more obviously than others. But no, I mean, I don't think it would be something I'd ever recommend people play if we ever did, because obviously, one, it's not a cheap game to get hold of if you want to play the full version, and I don't think any of us would ever have the time to play it in like full podcast.
Oh no!
But no,
I'm
no,
currently
absolutely
in the fucking RPG hell pool that is constantly making new characters in Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines.
Which I'm told is this that the one that's set in Seattle?
It's set in LA.
No, that's Frasier.
Jonathan, but no, I adore 14. It's like, and hey, I can play it with sort of people around the world. So, and that's and honestly, it's sort of how else do I put it? It feels like video games should be. At the end of the day, take aside, the sort of the idea of a video game has to be really hard or really. Video games are about having fun.
No, they're about being hard, and you cheat yourself if you don't play it right, and now I'm going to clip through this wall to beat this boss. Just like the developers intended.
You cheated not only the game,
Also,
but
I hate
yourself.
Which is ironic, because every other person I know who plays this game is, in fact, a woman.
Alright, is that all?
Yeah, that's. I've run out of time, Doc. I don't get any other time.
I'll go ahead and go next and get my stuff out of the way. I only have 2 games to talk about this time because I can't stop playing one of them. I mentioned...
Is it Vampire the Masquerade?
Yeah, Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines. I decided that's going to be our Halloween game, and hopefully Elmo would know if he would check his DMs.
Yeah, I thought we were doing Five Nights at Freddy's.
No.
Like, just a marathon of all of them. All of them at the same time.
Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines, the Electric Boogaloo. Actually, that doesn't work because it's technically supposed to be a sequel to another game called Vampire the Masquerade Redemption, but anyways, it was a game made by Troika Games, who are like made up of staff who worked on stuff like, I don't know, Fallout, and a more obscure game called Obscura Magica, I believe it was, which was about fantasy creatures disappearing in a world that's moving towards steam technology. That I really should get around to playing one of these days, but I still have yet to actually play Planescape Torment, so that comes first. This is considered a classic in the same way that a lot of Obsidian games are considered classics, but aren't considered their best games, because, like those games, it's technically not finished. It had a really bad production cycle, partly because of Activision, the publisher, partly because of Valve, who licensed their Source Engine. This was technically the first game made with a Source Engine, but it had to be released after Half-Life 2 because of their contract. And there is a little Easter egg in the game telling Valve to go fuck themselves. It's not... I'm very mixed on it because from a design perspective, it's kind of brilliant. I think the closest comparison I can think of modern today would be, like it says on the TV Tropes page, Alpha Protocol, because it's sort of a mixture of a dialogue-heavy RPG where you can talk your way out of situations, and a combat or stealth divide immersive sim like Deus Ex. It's very Deus Ex in a lot of ways. There are some really cool ideas, especially like the feeding system and how you have to watch the blood gauge as it goes down. And it's just really fun making characters. I would highly recommend trying the unofficial patch plus, because while it does change a few things and adds in one really dumb quest, the balancing that patch does is incredible and makes the game way more fun and much more approachable, because it's complicated as hell for new people. Unfortunately, this might be the most mid-aughts thing I've ever played in my entire life, for good and bad. Like, it has a pop-punk golf soundtrack going on. It's based off of White Wolf's board game, so of course, there's questionable things in there, and this is well before White Wolf just went off the fucking deep end so bad that their parent company had to nuke them from orbit and let actual Twitter people and the writer of Planescape Torment go make their things now. And so, like, some stereotypes, questionable use, understanding of mental illness and stuff like that. It's a big game, but goddamn, it's fun mechanically. Very fun, and I still have yet to finish a single run, and I think I've made like 12 characters already. But not one Gangreal, because the Gangreal are bad. Why would you ever play that? It's just Brouhaha, but stupid. No. And the other game I've been playing is Yuppie Psycho, which Elmo might be familiar with the people behind this game, since he, our lost IndieCent episode that was going to be over Count Lucanor, remember that?
Yeah, that was a fun game.
Same developer, and it's very similar. It's sort of a survival horror with cool anime graphics done with sprite art for cutscenes, and with very fairy tale logic. But the twist is, this game is set in a more modern setting and takes place entirely within an office building that is haunted by some sort of witch that's turns the entire thing into a big, giant, dark comedy satire of modern office culture and capitalism in general. And the satire is kind of brilliant at points. There are moments in this game so funny that it kind of took me aback, which made the scary parts all the more shocking, because this game is really good at building tension and just kind of like throwing something completely out of left field at you. And it keeps building up to this really uncomfortable point. By the time this episode goes up, the embargo would be over, and I would highly recommend this over the Count Lucanor, because like that game, it does reward a lot of exploration, but it's also more streamlined and straightforward, so it's a bit easier to understand where you need to go and what you need to do to continue the game. It's just like a complete building over of everything that game did right and a correction of everything it did wrong, but with a lot more interesting ideas. It's hard to know what I can talk about without giving away a lot of the best moments, but I think one of my favorite parts is when you're on a computer talking with the company AI, and then you get kicked off because the motivational speaker's here, and he's a guy dressed like a fucking Napoleon era general on a horse, and the horse is jumping at you, and he's telling you have to get to the meeting room now. And it's actually foreshadowed, because if you go to the meeting room earlier in the game, there's just someone looking at a pile of what appears to be poop, and when you ask what it is, she says horse shit. And I was like, oh, that's weird. And then it turns out, oh, that actually is horse shit. It's a very weird game. I'd highly recommend it, and that's what I've been playing. Who wants to go next?
I'll go, because I've kind of been... I still need to ask us to do an awkward sync test from when my mic dropped like half an hour ago.
A penny earned is a penny in your pocket!
Thank you.
Okay, go Chocolate Boy.
I have been playing too many things lately. Like a stupid amount of games. I finished Spirit Tracks, which was great, and Uncharted 3, which was not great, but... to be honest, once you really get the hang of what Uncharted is, some mediocre gunplay and some really over-the-top action set pieces, then you know what? It is the best damn mediocre gunplay and over-the-top action sequences video game out there. And yeah, the third's definitely the best of the trilogy. I played my first... Is it Daedalic or Daedalic or... The point-and-click people.
Yeah, Daedalic.
I played my first game by them, and I don't think you've played it yet. The Franz Kafka video game?
Oh yeah, that's been on my list, but I haven't gotten around to it yet.
It is. I really hope it goes on sale and I can pick it for a panel choice, because it's just ridiculously surreal and stupid, and I really like it.
Oh, I think Gamersgate is having a sale on Daedalic stuff right now, so we'll probably check that out after the podcast.
But yeah, it's like a point-and-click game, only nothing makes sense and none of the puzzles are connected to each other, and the story wildly changes. And it's the kind of... Normally in point-and-click games, if I come to a puzzle that I can't solve, it's kind of lose-lose, because if I have to look up the answer, if it's something I could have figured out, I feel like an idiot. And if it's something I couldn't have figured out, then I think, oh well, that's just stupid moon logic. The Franz Kafka one just made me laugh. There's at one point, for literally no reason, it becomes a 2D fighting game, but your opponent has a gun, and no matter what move you do, your opponent just shoots you. And the way you win this part of the game is you just move your mouse to the top of the screen where his health bar is, and you just click and drag his health down until it's 0, and then it's like, "Way, you win!" It makes no sense, and I really like it. The whole game is like that, and every puzzle has nothing to do with the previous puzzle, and it made me do the really pretentious thing where I actually went out and bought a book of Franz Kafka literature, because...
Have you turned into an insect yet?
No. Although someone in the game does turn into an insect, and I was like, yes, I understand that reference.
I love Tokyo Ghoul.
After that, I played Cathy Rain, which is the best Wadget Eye Games game that Wadget Eye Games didn't make.
Yeah, they just did the English dub.
Yeah, there we go. I knew I saw one of their names in the credits. But yeah, it's
It's clearly
really-
inspired by their work. I mean, even like
Yeah.
the dynamic is the very first Black Bolt game.
Yeah, but it's I can't really think of much to say
But
about
also
it.
they
It's just
really like Twin Peaks.
Yeah, it's just incredibly good. Great storyline, beautiful pixel art, great voice acting, sassy female protagonist who rides a motorbike.
I'm more mixed on it
great
myself. I'm more mixed on it myself because I think like it's a lot of really good ideas that don't come together. But it's one I do recommend overall.
And then, because I remembered that I still have 4 out of 5 games of the Blackwell trilogy to play, I went and played Blackwell Unbound. I think the reason it took me so long to play the next Blackwell game is that they're not numbered, and it took me a while to figure out what order they are in. They're alphabetical, but starting with L. So it goes Legacy, Unbound, Convergence, Deception, Epiphany. And Unbound, it was really nice to actually play it with the commentary on, because it turns out Unbound was going to be part of the third Blackwell game, because it's mostly flashbacks.
Right.
Well, it's basically one long flashback when you're playing as the main character from the first game's aunt, who also was a spirit medium / detective.
But they didn't got no money.
Yeah, they didn't got no money, so they just... And they didn't really have anywhere to put it in the game, so they just released it as a separate standalone thing, which worked. It was good. Recommend it.
It kept the company
big-
afloat, so yeah, I can't be too mad about it.
And the big thing that I've been playing lately is, I really thought that I wouldn't have finished this by now, but I have finished it like 2 days ago. I was watching H-Bomber Guy's Donkey Kong 64 stream, which I'm probably just going to keep bringing that up because it's the only good news story. It's the only good news story that's going to happen this year, so I'm not going to go back to it again and again. But I got like 3 hours into watching it, and I've suddenly realised if I was watching like a speedrunner do this in an hour and a half, that wouldn't like destroy my interest in ever playing Donkey Kong 64. But watching someone methodically play it for 50 hours will definitely stop me from ever wanting to play it.
And then
it looks kind of... Yep, and it actually looks kind of fun, and I do have a copy of Donkey Kong 64 somewhere around here. So I dug out my N64 and played it, and I'm surprised by how well it held up. Like, I thought that I was mainly just doing it because, hey, it's 2019 and the dude on the stream did it, but it's genuinely really good. Obviously, like, Beaver Bother and Diddy Kong's jetpack races are still just...
Oh, did you see the
awful.
Nitro? Did you see the Nitro Rad April Fool's special? Because he did a parody video of H Bomber Guy, and it's kind of incredible. It ends with him pretending to be H Bomber Guy and seeing a bunch of beavers walk through the door. He starts convulsing and then just turns into a beaver and screams. And the beaver has a shirt that says "I hate capitalism." And also, he's talking to the ghost of Mike Matei as Mike Matei doing a bad impression of Inspector Gadget.
Oh, no.
And at one point, the ghost of Mike Matei as Inspector Gadget says that he's stupid or something like that, and then he just starts laughing at an increasingly higher pitch and just keeps going, and there's no point where it stops. It's pretty great.
Donkey Kong 64 is also pretty great. Also, it deserves more credit for the fact that
30 seconds.
It's basically a YouTube poop of a game. Like, the final boss fight is all of the Kongs in a boxing match against K. Rool that happens for no reason. Donkey Kong hits him in the head by flying out of a barrel. Then Diddy uses his jetpack to drop the studio lights on his head. Then Lanky uses banana skins to make him slip over. Then Diddy Dick's Tiny tickles his foot until he falls over, and then Chunky just finally haymakers him. It's ridiculous and dumb, and
Dick's Tiny.
I really liked it.
That's what you just said.
Yeah. I was thinking about things.
Okay, and it is Danny's turn. Go.
I've still been playing a lot of NBA 2K19.
Danny!
Still good. Hi. I spent some real money on NBA 2K19
Danny.
and bought the Naruto run.
Danny.
There's a Naruto run. That said, I'm playing a game for review right now. It's taking a long time, so I'll hold off on talking about that for now. And aside from that, I think the only thing I've played is Sekiro Shadows Die Twice. I finally bought that and played some of that. I'm still early in, but I really like it so far. I think I was hesitant on how it's leaning more into action and diverging from the Souls formula, how much I'd like that. But I'm liking it a lot. I think it keeps a good core. I think it has a lot in common with those games while diverging in some good ways.
It's From Software going back to their Ninja Blade roots.
And I think it's working out well. I'm still pretty early in, but I've found the combat a lot more satisfying. Having to focus on actually blocking and parrying instead of just mashing the dodge button and mashing attack makes taking down bosses feel a lot more satisfying. Like, I feel like I got better at the game when I beat a boss. And also being able to just deflect an enemy's attack and one-hit KO them is really cool. So I've heard some mixed things about the game later on, like that plays great, but that I've heard it reuses some bosses, so I'll see how I still feel about it a bit later in. But yeah, I actually don't have much to talk about, just because the thing I've been putting a lot of time into right now, I'm doing for another site. So yeah.
Alright, is that everything?
Art Sqool!
Yeah, it's Art Sqool.
Let's go to Art Sqool.
Yeah!
Let's go to Art Sqool and get in student debt.
Woohoo!
Let's all learn how to make CalArts face.
That's an anti-Semitic dog whistle.
Whoops.
Yeah, it turns out that really is an anti-Semitic dog whistle because everything is terrible.
Oh no.
What?
Yeah.
I mean, it was bullshit anyway, but it was bullshit.
We should have
anyway,
known when the person who came up with this way back when was the guy behind Ren and Stimpy. Well, the guy behind Ren and Stimpy, who was a shit who got fired from Ren and Stimpy, and was also a
Jonathan?
sexual predator. And then when he got control of Ren and Stimpy again, he made the worst thing anyone ever saw.
More Ren and Stimpy.
No, Ren and Stimpy, except now it was for adults, and by that I mean,
Art Sqool!
oh.
Art Sqool.
Yeah!
us.
No anti-Semitism here.
I don't think this is going to be a particularly long episode because, I mean, there's not a lot to say about this one.
Yes,
Yeah.
there is.
I think there's...
We didn't actually play any games. We just went to school and got the full Art Sqool treatment without having to pay a dime.
I took a class about Little Kim.
Take that, Amy Klobuchar.
That was a very topical reference.
Yes.
Yes, this game was made by Julian Glander. It's actually kind of hard to figure out what this guy's done because I went to his website and it doesn't explain like stuff he's worked on well at all. It's just a collection of random art he's done, which is annoying because I know he's done work with Cartoon Network and I think even Adult Swim. So like,
Yeah. If you go, I think he has some of that on his Vimeo. Like, he has the clip from The Amazing World of Gumball that he did. He has some of his Adult Swim shorts.
yeah, I wish he would advertise that better on his website.
He made another game. Hold on, I can't remember what it's called.
It was the game about the weather.
Yeah, it's like linked to real world weather. Lovely weather we're having, that's what it's called. It links to the real world weather outside where you are, and you just play with your dog, and that's it. Outside. No objective. That's it. And he also, I think he's been talking like about a book he's putting out or put out on his Twitter. Yeah, just weird little stuff like that. That's kind of his thing.
Yeah, you couldn't tell from this game, but he's a little weird. Yeah, I mentioned earlier, this game does remind me of a show that Cartoon Network was airing, and I'm wondering if he knows the artist behind it. It was called Summer Camp Island or something like that, and it was kind of a nightmare. The entire premise was that it took place on an island summer camp run by witches, and everything was alive because magic, which made a lot of questionable, weird situations, and everyone looked weird and off-putting. But unlike Art Sqool, it was done in a way where they didn't seem aware of how weird and off-putting the actual art was. While in Art Sqool, it's very clear it's trying to be strange on purpose, just for the heck of it.
Yeah, it's just a game where you wander around this weird little dreamscape, and
you wander around the Art Sqool campus.
Yeah, which is a weird little dreamscape, and you
no, it is a serious learning environment.
Yes. And you collect different brushes, different colors. You have like 6 different colors total. There are only 6 colors in the game.
And sometimes they randomly change.
Yeah. And you just get some drawing prompts from your AI professor who grades all your stuff. Prompts can range anywhere between draw a self-portrait, to draw a self-portrait without looking at the paper, to draw your worst fear, to go really cubist with this one.
Or my personal favorite, and unfortunately I do not have the painting I did when I got this one. LOL, I don't know, draw a horse or something.
There's write out your worst secret, then scribble over it so no one can see.
It did.
There's draw flowing water, which I posted my version of that in the chat.
We're gonna be reposting stuff, and of course I want to remind everyone to please send me your full completed art folders. Not a curated version, I want everything.
Okay.
I really want to see everyone's first picture, the first thing that they did.
The problem with me is that I had to restart my game a few times because I was trying to, because I didn't realize how exploration in this game worked, because you can just jump forever and that's how you get places to find things.
Yeah.
So I would often just fall off the map by complete accident, and then I was like, okay, so you're turning in your assignment. And like 3 times, I turned in a completely blank sheet of paper and somehow passed.
I kept doing that. Like, I think, I'm working really hard on this one picture, and then there's one where all I've drawn is a line, and then I was like, what happens if I just fall off? And it's like, I'm grading this line.
Yeah, the rating system in this game is kind of bullshit.
The hardest prompt I ever got was don't draw anything. So I just tried jumping off, and it was like, no, you need to work a little harder on this one.
You can go to. You can also go to the doors to turn stuff in.
Yeah, you can go to the doors, or you can fall off. But falling off is just conceptually a better way of turning stuff in.
And of course, as you go,
done with my drawing, time to jump into the void.
Of course, as you go along in the game, you get occasional musical interludes of Froshman singing about how things are going at Art Sqool. And it ends on a very sappy note of like the professor saying, "You'll do fine." And then you unlock a new map above the Art Sqool maps, and it's just a round neighborhood with nothing to do in it. Oh no, I've ruined
Spoiling the deep lore of Art Sqool.
Yeah, the audio, I think all the audio in this game is like done with text-to-speech programs, but heavily distorted.
It's great.
I think we should start posting pictures of our incredible art. I want to see everything.
No, we're all gonna take turns at this point. Just so everyone knows on what page we're on here, you get very, very, very limited tools in Art Sqool. Like, as I mentioned, you get 6 colors, sometimes they're randomly changed, and a lot of the brushes don't work in ways you would expect, like, things to work in a normal art program. But that's clearly the point. It's trying to challenge you. So we're gonna share our different pictures. I'm gonna put it in the video. So people who got listened early before the video, I apologize. You're gonna have to wait for the YouTube thing to see the whole really understand Art Sqool. But hopefully we'll remember what prompts we got as we share this, and we'll go in turn. So I'll go first, and then it'll be Danny, then it will be Omo, and then it'll be Tama. So I'll go first and show you what I came up when the game asked me to draw a banana.
Sorry.
Yeah, it kind of looks like a Simpsons character got beat so hard they deformed.
I can't think of a better, more surreal experience than someone listening to the audio of this without seeing the pictures. just hearing us react to them.
Imagine, if you will, a picture of a banana.
I'm honestly kind of proud of this one. Because the tools in this game make it impossible to make anything look good. And so I just went for it. Let's make it look interesting. Most of the time.
Yeah. Good job.
Okay, who wants to... Okay, let's see. Danny, you go ahead and share next. Danny, what was the prompt you got for this?
Draw flowing water.
So,
You went for toilet humor, huh?
yeah.
Or are you making a deep statement about capitalism?
Sure.
Because you see, Night in the Woods is actually a very deep game about capitalism and dicks. And
Yeah.
capitalism. Isn't that right, the Ghost of Mike and Tay?
I was just, for some reason, I was thinking of that one Smash Brothers stage that someone made that got taken down by Nintendo censorship called Mario Pissing.
Oh. Okay, Elmo, share with us your art.
Okay. Should I start with a stupid one or one that I'm genuinely proud of?
I'll go with whatever you think is best.
Oh, thank you. Screw it. Okay, this one was draw something that cannot be photographed.
Okay.
Very abstract.
Oh, because he doesn't have one.
Yeah.
He has a big smart boy brain, or so he says.
I got to dock points. You're doing the political cartoonist thing of labeling everything.
Oh yeah.
You forgot the most important part, and the reason this doesn't work. You didn't label the brain as debt.
Yeah.
You will never win awards this way, Elmo.
I should have hidden in the brain. Debate me, AOC.
The brain is patriotism.
No, it has to be debt. That's how you win awards.
And then the Statue of Liberty is crying in the background.
No, that's not as funny because those are actually supposed to be satire of political cartoons.
Yeah.
Like, actual political cartoons made by raging racists are much funnier because they don't realize how fucking stupid they are.
Mm-hmm.
That's just me. Tama, go ahead and share.
Draw a staggering work of genius.
That's really the prompt you got?
Oh.
Yes.
You know what? You could actually
It works.
Argue hard enough to make that count as high art. Because, remember, some guy brought, a toilet into a museum and said, that's art. And then everyone's like,
Yeah,
okay.
Deschamps.
Name was-
Yes.
Michel Duchamp?
Duchamp.
Oh god, it's been so long
Duchamp.
since I figured out that fact and how art is a meaningless construct that I don't remember the names.
I talked about him a lot in a paper I wrote on why postmodernism is great in school. Because I was at a Christian school that said postmodernism was evil. So I was just like, look at this guy.
How did they work
He
that
turned
out?
a toilet into art.
I
How
appreciate
is
that one.
postmodernism evil?
It's awesome. I mean, they say
It is.
postmodernism is evil because it's antithetical to objectivism, which Christianity is reliant on the idea that there is an objective truth.
Alright.
Fair enough.
Okay, I'll go ahead and go next. And let's see, I've got a lot here. I'm trying to remember the prompts for all these. So, let's see. God, I can't remember some of the prompts. I think this. Oh fuck! Give me a second here. Oh fuck it! I'll just post the one that's supposed to be a self-portrait. It's supposed to say Space Cat shirt, but the watermark cut it off. Because I have a cool Space Cat shirt where the cat is wearing like sunglasses and reflection stars are in it. It's really cool. But yes, this is what I look like. There's no brown color in the game, so I had to make do.
My turn. Now this one is, the prompt was, draw a friend for me to hang out with after you graduate from art school.
That's a terrible friend.
It's a brilliant friend.
God. Game of Thrones.
You don't know it says Game of Thrones.
Yeah, that's why it's so brilliant.
Game of the Shield Hero.
Game
Game of the day.
That's not a show.
He just wants to share his interests with you.
I'm gonna do my... This was draw a self-portrait without looking at the paper.
Oh,
So,
God.
this was completely blind. Had no idea what it was. Yay!
Almost, seriously.
It just magically came out like that.
Wow. Natural artist.
What's this supposed to be? A cat?
Yeah.
Are they gonna crash into each other?
Is that how good
Yes.
Mickey's
sex
Dick
works?
Smasher?
Yes. Yes to everything.
Mickey's Dick Smasher.
And Thomas' turn.
Draw a flag of an imaginary country.
Is it going to be America? I want to go to that country.
Yeah.
It looks pretty gay. I'm down with that.
I want to live there.
The dog stamp is
I like
the
that
best
dog.
stamp.
I didn't get the stamps. Now I want the stamps.
I can see the parts where you weren't able to erase everything when you were correcting mistakes. Like next on the right of the tree and on the left of the bottom blob.
Yeah.
Well done. I salute thee.
One
What shall
more.
we name this country?
Tree
Dog
Dogland. The Labrador Coast.
Oh,
Yes.
I like that one. I was just gonna say Chungus. Because I'm out of ideas.
Big Chungus. Lesser Chungus or Big Chungus?
Nobody remembers when Chungus was Jim Sterling's thing. Now it's the rabbit.
Give us a picture, Doc.
Alright, let's see. I've got a few.
This is gonna be
Oh,
the
it-
best episode of IndieCent ever.
This one I'm kind of proud of. It was just draw your favorite time of day. So I went with something pretty simple. So I went with this. Yeah,
Why are you drinking a cup of dog?
It's supposed to be. I just put the dog there because I like it.
Because he's John Arbuckle.
All my. Yeah, I just drew a knight in my room. I used that one light brush tool so I could give sort of a glowing effect.
Elmo got my reference.
It was a fantastic reference.
I wish I remember what the prompt was for this one. Because I did it sincerely. I didn't just do this randomly. I just gotten the text tool. And I wanted to use it. I wish I could remember what the prompt was. I don't know. It was an early one. Hope maybe someone else can figure it out. But I really like this one.
Draw your favourite phrase.
I think that might have been it. That might have been it.
Okay, this is the first one that, yeah, I'm quite proud of, because I got the question of draw something cubist. And it's been a very long time since I took art at school, so I forgot what cubist was, and then I kind of remembered, wait, I can just do this. That counts. God, that Garfield strip. Ooh, nice cup of coffee, John. Don't mind if I do, John. He's like, does he just walk into rooms drinking stuff like that? Yeah.
Yep.
Snitches get stitches!
Okay, sorry about that. I hate Windows 10, everyone.
Fucking Windows 98.
Okay, so the cubist pun.
Yes.
You
Tama, you're up.
draw your own grave.
Oh my god.
You're gonna draw Ben Shapiro? Okay, that one's good.
Well, that's very good.
I have no complaints about that. Let me get back in my folder and let's see. I think this. Oh yeah, this one was for childhood memory. Particularly vivid childhood memory. The thing about me is I don't have a lot of memories of my childhood, as you expect. Stuff just kind of goes in and out one year and out the other. But this particular memory has stuck with me for a long time.
Gotta go fast.
So, the first video game I ever played was Sonic the Hedgehog. Which probably explains a lot about me. My uncle had a Sega Genesis and had two games on it, Sonic the Hedgehog and Road Rash, which I liked then, but then I tried playing an emulator a few years ago and was like, oh, this is bad. But Sonic still holds up at least, so that's one good childhood memory. Like, I don't think I'd be where I am without playing that game, and then my uncle eventually gave me his Sega Genesis, and I got a lot of crap for it, and then eventually I moved on to the N64 and so forth. And that changed my destiny and ruined my life.
Hooray.
What about you, Danny?
This one was draw a picture without picking up the pen or without picking up the brush, which I did in like actual art school, and I always really liked doing that, doing those assignments. It was fun. I think I was trying to draw a fox.
Is this about capitalism?
Wait, no, I think I was drawing a cat. Yeah, I was drawing my cat.
No, I'm pretty sure that's Ben Sharpo. Ben Shapiro. And his giant brain that he uses to own people because he's smart.
Put in big writing Medicare for all. And then in the corner, the Constitution. And the founding fathers looking on sadly.
You drew debt. That's debt right there. The national debt.
Russia.
Alright, Elmo.
I definitely only have one more like really good one that I'm proud of. So now you just get the crap. This is the only one that I put up on Twitter because the prompt was something like draw an egg hatching, and I don't know how well known he is, but
I don't know who that is.
hey everybody, it's me, Northern Line. Welcome back to Northern Line Blaze, the Binding of Isaac Aftermath Plus. We kind of got carried a little bit last run. Brimstone Eden, first floor pickup, but not how you start, it's how you finish.
I don't get it.
That's the end of my Northern Lion impression.
Who's
Like,
Northern
two people.
Lion?
Is he
He's
racist?
he's a Binding of Isaac Let's Player, and he's not racist. But everyone says that he looks like an egg.
Oh,
Okay.
Tama.
Draw something to put into a gilt frame.
A what?
A gilt frame. As in gold.
Ooh.
Okay. Hollywood. Is this also about capitalism?
Yes.
I called it.
Definitely.
I like he has a little ab muscle definition. Nice touch. Is he trying to hug someone, or is he being stabbed in a T-pose, or?
I think he's just T-posing.
Can he see? Does he have sight?
No.
He's blinded by stardom.
Like a douche wrapped up in the light. Oh yeah, this prompt was something you miss. And I was inspired by it by remembering a good old stand-up routine I used to like a lot. Am I the only one here who remembers wired phones?
No.
The ones that were built for fucking slamming?
Parents still have
You get
them.
mad at someone on a cell phone, you just have to, like,
Gently
pull the
switch.
phone away from your ear and try and awkwardly press the button on the touchscreen because, like, sometimes the screen doesn't light up properly. But, like, in the old days, you could just slam a fucking phone down because those things were designed to be lethal weapons.
You're an inanimate fucking object.
It was great. Fun times.
We still have wired phones.
Yeah, but they're made of cheap plastic and not fucking war material. You can't kill a man with a phone these days unless it's slowly through cell phone radiation.
Which you don't get from corded phones.
Yeah.
Sad times.
Things used to be better in the 90s. Remember the 90s?
Yeah.
Now all is lost.
This one was don't draw anything.
Hmm. Well, technically you typed and used the paint tool. So you didn't draw anything.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
You
Look
could
at
be a
that.
lawyer.
That could go in the gallery. We could put that in the gallery now.
And you could argue that it's art, and they would just put it in because you said it's art.
It is, because I made it at art school.
Yes.
And it's not anime-like at all, so therefore it counts as art, since it's art school.
Yeah.
Remember, kids, if you like anime art style, you're wrong.
Yeah.
I'm not racist. I'm not racist as I slowly turn into a corn cob pipe.
Yeah.
Or was it just corn cob? I forget at this
Just a
point.
I
corn
think
cob.
it's just cool.
Either is a funny image.
This is a pretty dull one. It was just draw a plant, and
Hey,
Yay.
Oh, that's pretty.
neat.
I like the little flowers.
yeah.
They got little different colored clovers. It's almost like you used artistic theory of color and like symmetry and a recurring theme and all that.
Yes. Verily.
Where's the shit posting?
Oh, I'll get there.
I demand more shit posting. Make
Tamara, do you
references
have
to
a nice-
heated gamer moments.
Do you have a nice shit post for us, Tara?
Draw the contents of a box.
Oh, no.
I like that. That's good. Bees are terrifying, but we need them. I think this one, and this is probably my favorite. If I remember correctly, the idea was to draw something like the idea of perfection. And yeah, you all know where it's going.
That is definitely perfect.
Do you like the little frowny face I put in there?
Yeah.
You see, because there was a miscarriage and it's sad,
Yeah.
and that's what he
That's
represents.
perfect.
I'm genuinely proud of this.
You should be.
I'm trying to remember what the prompt was for this one. It was like, draw something you saw around campus, or draw the worst thing you've seen about around campus. Does anyone remember one of those?
Extremely expensive.
Yeah,
Is it
that
Ben
was,
Shapiro? Or is it
There were
going to be
lots of,
that
like,
one?
tour
Is it going to be that flat earther with the lunar lander or homeless tweaker shelter shirt yelling at people about how the moon landing was faked? 25,000 subscribers. It's been a productive day.
I drew heteros.
Oh God.
I always saw them around campus, and they were like the worst thing I always saw around campus.
I do generally like what you did with that terrible blocky brush. I never found use for it. Ooh, good color contrast. Elmo,
Let's see how many I have left.
do you have any shitposts?
Okay, fine. Here's a kind of shitposty one, because this one was draw a completely new shape made by combining two original shapes.
Okay.
I'm ashamed, but
That's dreadful.
yeah.
Okay, so this is going to be your last episode, Elmo.
Yeah.
I did the 421 as well, but come on.
I had a good one.
I think I'm going to add more to this episode by just putting everything in a little slideshow at the end so everyone can enjoy it to nice music that does not fit our terrible shitpost art.
I can get you a piece of music.
Alright, Tama, go.
Let's draw something wiggly.
Ooh.
Oh my.
That is indeed wiggly. I cannot deny. But is it a kid or a squid?
It's both the kid
Please
and
answer.
the squid.
That's not how it works! You are one or the other!
It is a squid kid.
This one was, I think it was like the idea of patriotism? I don't remember. And the only reason it doesn't really work is because I didn't label the flag as debt.
Yeah.
But I am
Texas.
genuinely proud of this. Rip America.
Texas has changed.
Let's see.
It's the American flag!
This. Which one am I gonna do? This one is draw the worst circle possible, or the worst circle you possibly can.
That's fucking terrible.
Yep.
You should be ashamed. You will never be an artist.
That's a fantastic.
That is far
non-sample,
too anime. Elmo.
Okay, this was the first one I took seriously because it was like Tama's. It was draw something that will be in a gold frame. So will this change how you draw it?
Oh, that looks really
Ooh.
nice.
I like the little square things. That's a good way to put some texture on the ground. Nice little abstract.
Yeah, I like it.
It's about capitalism.
Well, obviously. That's why the trees are gold.
Yeah.
It's rainbow capitalism.
Yeah.
Tama.
Draw the winner and runner-up of a pie-eating competition.
Oh my god.
Did you? How dare you draw me, sir?
It's a penguin.
Banned from Club Penguin for eating pie.
Is the winner dead or is the runner-up dead?
Yes.
I miss Club Penguin.
I like that you used a 0 for the mouth.
I believe this one was like what you want, not what you want to happen to someone you hate. It was very easy to make.
So you want them to be the protagonist of a, like, Fandom humiliation dojin?
Oh no, because the characters in those dojins usually have big penises for some odd reason.
Yeah, you sometimes see the ones where they're just getting degraded for their tiny peen.
Yeah, but there's usually anal play in that. This is just watching.
Yeah.
Art Sqool.
See, this one was just draw a self-portrait.
Okay.
Yeah.
Why do you have Sonic Eye?
Those are my glasses.
What's it like being blue? Or is that green? I honestly can't tell.
It's one or the other.
It's not easy being possibly blue or green.
It's a metaphor. I also just recently unlocked that brush and really liked it.
Elmo.
Let me know when we're getting near the end, because I literally have one good one left and a bunch of filler. I had like a... let's see...
Elmo.
I had draw something upside down.
Post it. Oh.
The reason there's a bunch of squiggles on it is because I handed it in and I got an F. So I came out and was like, yeah, well, fuck you. And I just squiggled in all the other bits and it was like, there, how'd you like it now? And I got an A.
Yeah, the squiggles make it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
honestly.
Gives it energy.
Yeah.
Makes it look like it's twerking. And therefore destroying all of Western civilization. Dama?
Illustrate your favorite phrase.
Is it going to be 420? Oh. That kind of reminds me of that one page in Alan Wake. Alright, I will go next, and I remember I did the whole 50. Let's...
God.
Oh yeah, this one I like a lot. I had to redo it though, and this is the redone version. You all probably saw the original version. Draw what you think a baby would look like between your two best friends. I had to be honest.
Yeah.
That's my favorite one. By a mile. None of you will top it. This is the best art ever made.
I have one that will top it, but only one.
Well, Danny?
This one, I don't remember what the prompt was. I
We'll
just
try and
remember.
guess it.
I just remember it was the second. It was the second prompt I got.
That sure is an onion.
It's not an onion.
Colourful onion.
That
I think
sure
it might have
is-
been name the thing you most want in the world or something like that.
You want an onion?
It's not an onion.
Want a
Oh. Oh.
Oh.
I get it.
Moving on.
Elmo. You humiliate
Okay.
yourself for us, as you always do.
Okay, go. I also had the water flowing one, but the I didn't have blue. I only had pink, so I was like, right, I'm just gonna Danganronpa this.
Oh god, there's so much blood.
Yeah.
That's not blood, that's urine.
No, it's definitely blood.
It's the national debt of the United States.
It's exploding. It's everywhere.
It's weird because on the left it's clearly a little paper boat, but then on the right it's clearly a real boat.
Yeah,
So who's to say?
the paper boat is Medicare for all, and the real boat is private insurance.
Yeah. The fountain is Jordan Peterson.
So wait, the fountain doesn't look anything at all like Kermit the Frog. Tama.
Draw the future.
Oh, I like Back to the Future. That's cute. Let me see here. I got a lot here.
I don't have much else.
I have a lot. I have so much. Let's see. Should I do the famous person one? No.
Yeah.
I think this. No, this was draw something. No. Let's see. I can do better than that.
I have 5 more.
Oh my, we're almost done then. Oh yeah, I think this one was drawing an invention or something of the sort. It is a dog box. See, it's a box for dogs. Please don't shake it.
Dog box.
Box dog.
This one was look down, then look up, split the difference, then split the difference again.
Oh.
I was like, I don't know what any of that means, so I just mashed the ground and the sky together.
Is there a penis in there?
No,
Looks like there's a penis in there.
that's
that represents capitalism and the national debt.
that's just the
I will
path,
bury this joke.
the angle of the path that I was looking at. And then I tried to make the sky. The sky is very hard in that game. Is very hard to make.
No, really?
Yeah.
Elmo.
Okay, let's see. Draw sport.
Oh, I got that one too. What'd you do?
Esports. Heated gaming.
That's not Mario in the seat. That's supposed to
Yeah.
be Mario, you hack, you fake. You're not the true oppressed. Honestly, kind of cute. I like the perspective.
Yeah.
Is that a table court for ants? Tama.
Yes.
Draw one of our extremely expensive sculptures.
Oh my.
Why does that look like a lady?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I had trouble with that one myself. I just did nonsense at some point. Let me try and get one of those since I brought up. Yeah, we definitely had some overlap. I actually did the sports. I got the sports one too, and it was just draw the idea of sports. So I did this.
Sports ball.
Sports.
Sports.
Sports. Yeah, just a heads up, everyone. This is basically the whole episode because there's not much else we gotta say other than the music's popping.
Yeah, I wish I could have heard it, but I played an hour of this game before, and when I tried to boot it up again, for some reason there was no sound, and I tried rebooting my computer, reinstalling the game. I looked up the control list, and I saw there was a mute button. I was like, oh, I must have muted it. And I kept hitting the button, and nothing would happen, which was a real shame. And I missed a cutscene that was probably voiced.
Did you notice that I put a swim cap with goggles in the top right?
Yes.
It means debt.
Fill me.
You understand. Elmo! No,
I got
Danny.
do mine.
I got mixed up.
This one was draw slowly and deliberately.
I would have killed that turtle just for talking like that.
That's cute.
He's cute, but what he says is awful.
Say hello.
Exactly.
Hello, dog. Art Sqool.
You're reminding me of the terrible daddy post.
No.
I guess there's more than one kind of daddy.
You in my pockets, daddy?
Are the video games in here?
I never have pockets.
God.
Elmo!
Humiliate
Draw-
yourself, chocolate
Draw
boy.
a castle.
Ooh.
Ooh.
Is that
You said
Pokeball?
these are supposed to be the bad ones, and yet they're not bad at all, you coward.
Oh.
Is that a Pokeball?
It is. The front of the castle was empty, and I didn't know what to put there, so I drew a Pokeball.
Nice.
Sword
Also,
and Shield spoilers. This is Pokemon England, everyone. It's also racist.
Yeah.
You spot on. I'm on the protein.
Oi! I don't know what else to say that goes after that. Something about eel pie? England is a terrible place.
Cheeky Nando's.
Tama!
Draw an extreme close-up of something.
Ooh,
Ooh.
I like
That's
it.
a good one.
Yeah.
What is it?
I don't remember.
Is it a butt?
No.
Let me see. I want to post one I'm kind of proud of again. This one was just draw really quickly and constantly as long as you can, and this is what ended up coming out. That's what my brain is like.
Yeah.
That's what my brain is like when I read Twitter. Yeah, I kind of went all over the place and then realized, oh, there's kind of a thing going on, and made that stick figure having a mental breakdown really, really fast, and it kind of worked. I'm a regular, the guy who threw the paint on the canvases randomly, and then everyone called it high art.
It's a good painting. This one is draw a self-portrait without looking at the paper.
Yep.
That's my nose and mouth off there in the distance. That looks like I'm giving 2 middle fingers.
When you see a turf.
Yeah.
Elmo.
Let's see. Oh, I'm really sorry. It's just I literally don't have any left except this one and the
All
good
right.
one, so I have to do it. It was draw something you hate. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, Elmo, but this isn't art.
Yeah. It's holding up a mirror to art.
Wait, Captain Walker, where's your coat? Sorry.
Tama.
Sorry, gentlemen.
Draw heaven and hell.
Eyeball. What's going on there? I cannot tell what's
question.
going on there.
I like it.
It looks like a microphone?
With a gate.
Hell is Discord.
Yeah, that sounds about right. This one was draw a non-copyright, your favorite non-copyrighted character. Because you can't break copyright, and I drew this. I'm good at art. Danny and Tama, and then we'll end.
Hey!
You're out, aren't you?
No, I still have the one good one, which was also a copyrighted character.
Okay, Danny first.
This one was write out your deepest, darkest secret and then scribble over it so no one can see.
Okay.
Your deepest,
My
darkest
deepest
Elmo.
secret is the yellow report. Okay, I really hope I
It was me
haven't
all
hyped.
along.
My deepest, darkest secret is the national debt.
Yeah.
It was all me!
I hope I haven't hyped this one up because it's still pretty bad. But it was, draw a cartoon character without breaking copyright.
That might actually be the best one we've had.
Yeah. I was just like, innocently, right, I know what I'm going for. And it was this.
It's Dart Simpson.
Yep, it's
Darth
Fort
Simpson.
Samson. At
Fort
the beginning of Undertale.
Alright, let's end it. Tama?
Okay, last one.
Bring it
Draw
home with
me-
the best drawing.
Draw music.
Come on,
Oh, God.
420. 420 reference.
Ah,
Oh.
Music.
As before we go to final word, I will post one more, just one more. But which one to go with? Because I generally do have a ridiculous amount. Screw it, I'm just gonna go with this one. I forgot what it was for, but I think it speaks for itself. And with that, let's give our final thoughts on this game, because I think actually going through all these pictures and all the weird shit we made kind of proves, kind of says what you need to know about Art Sqool better than us going on and on about whatever we can pull out of our ass at the given second, as we normally do. Because Art Sqool on Steam right now has very mixed reviews, which I'm not surprised by, because it's not a normal game, which, looking at this guy's work, isn't that surprising. It is kind of an experiment, and I think it's best experienced like we just experienced here. Buying a copy for a few friends and then sharing the wacky stuff you all make. Because it's an interesting game that you can actually make really good looking stuff in, but also just have a lot of fun. And its arbitrary rating system is actually interesting because it does push you to kind of think a bit more on some of the stuff you make. Unlike, okay, what else can I do with it when you do get those F moments?
Add squiggles.
Sometimes just that, but sometimes you add more elements to an image to give it more life, and I found that worked to my advantage a lot of the times. I have a few where I went back and added stuff and it came out much better for it. And let me get an example here. Here is, this was something you hate prompt I got. This was my first try. As you can see, it's not very good. And for my second try, it made me reevaluate how I saw the image in the first place and how better to make it
Oh yeah.
fit. Yeah, I was too ambitious the first time and I didn't have the skill to pull off the silhouette, so I went with something more basic and it worked out better. So yeah, that's kind of what this is. It's like something to get your creative juices flowing and to take you a bit out of your comfort zone and just try doing stuff without the worry of trying to make something good for a wider audience. It's like, it's putting... I actually haven't felt this way about something creative in a long time, because when I make stuff nowadays, I'm thinking, okay, what will people think about it? But when I was making stuff in this game, I was just like, okay, what's something I want to make? And, like, I don't remember the last time I felt like that.
Yeah, I think that's kind of like why I chose this game, because I saw someone play this, and I thought, oh, that was cool. I wanted to see if it did anything more weird, but I was pretty content with it just being a weird little game about making art, because I used to love drawing, but I just, at some point, I kind of fell off it, and I felt like I stopped feeling like I was good at it, and which made me stop wanting to do it, and I've tried to get back into it, but I can't do it and feel good about it like I used to. so I just don't draw anymore. And I kind of wanted to just get in this game and just draw some prompts, see what I can do with it, and just enjoy it, even if it's not there's no way it's going to be good because I'm not good at mouse drawing, obviously. So I wanted to just kind of focus on making what I can with what I have, and just enjoying it and sort of meditating on it. And also it helps that the game's just got such a weird and cool vibe to it, just being so weird and surreal that making some quote-unquote bad drawings doesn't feel like a problem.
Yeah, I don't think I've actually felt like this grading something since when I used to make forum signatures years ago in my terrible phase, because that was something I enjoyed doing a lot, because it was just, you were really just taking stuff and seeing what you can make out of random junk, and sometimes you get surprised and make amazing stuff. There is one thing I've made from that era that I'll try putting in the podcast. It is a signature of Siler from Heroes. I juxtaposed it with the promotional image of the show, and then used a basic Photoshop filter, but it stuck with me all these years. I usually delete all the work I hate, and pretty much everything from the era is long gone except this. And it's because it was I was working with nothing, and I managed to make something that kind of looked right to me, that kind of captured the feeling I wanted to get. And when I do artistic stuff now, I'm usually always trying to do it for an audience, and I think my stuff kind of suffers for it, because I'm thinking about, okay, how can I make this more engaging for an audience and not what's genuine to me. It's very hard to separate wanting to perform and separate your own creative desires, and I think this program is making me reevaluate how I go about with creative endeavors. So I got more out of this than I was expecting.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna keep playing it every now and then. I'm just gonna fire it up when I need some. When I just need a few minutes, if I can get the sound working. The sound is a very nice part of it, relaxing.
Yeah, it has a very weird, electronic soundtrack. It's not dubstep or necessarily even vaporwave. It's a very ambient, weird thing.
Yeah, which I'm sure. Honestly, that's probably something on. I've had some problem with games not working with sound in my games. Might be a laptop problem, but yeah, I'm probably gonna be just jumping in and out of this game every now and then to draw some stuff. Because it's neat.
Tama, any thoughts?
I still have the 2 forum signatures you made for me on Screw Attack. And there was one that was Lloyd Irving from Tales of Symphonia standing in front of a pretty cool background. And then there was one that you were like, okay, so this is one of your forum signatures, and here's kind of another one that you can use just on Screw Attack. And it said, I'm Elmo 3000, and I have sex with my GameCube every night. And I
actually am proud of that one.
And I didn't use that one. And I just cropped the Lloyd Irving one. And I remember you saying, that looks terrible, use the other one. And me just quietly being like, no.
You should have used the other one.
I should have. There is one thing to point out about Art Sqool I wanted to say. Because the short answer, Art Sqool, is what if MS Paint was a game, but also good? And the long answer was while I was looking up Art Sqool, there was a guy named Cameron Kunzelman from Waypoint who wrote a genuinely, really in-depth, thinky piece about it, and I can't tell if it's serious or not.
It's Waypoint, so it probably is.
Froshman's enthusiasm is not fuel for the eternal combustion of capital extraction from student bodies. It's the coal that keeps the train of life running.
Mm-hmm. And he's not wrong.
Art Sqool manages deftly to present us with one of the problems of contemporary civil society. You're going to be eaten alive, and you need to recognise it. The whole world is Art Sqool, and we're all Froshman.
We are.
We're brought into systems we don't quite understand, and told that we need to be entrepreneurs of our own fate, and anyone who doesn't get these facts immediately is being taken for a ride down a one-way track to exploitation.
That's kind of like why I like the end of this game, where the professor is just like, you're gonna do just fine. It's like, it doesn't come off as like ironic or like a joke or anything. Like, it's sincere. Like, this is a very, very sincere game, and I'm so used to not seeing that anymore. It's just nice. I miss that.
Yeah, just hang out, draw some things, go back
Listen
to work.
to weird music that almost sounds like it's from a very cute nightmare.
Yeah.
Alright, and that is it for Art Sqool, unless Tama has anything to add.
I do have it's sort of the thing it did remind me of most, actually. So, running you mentioned ambient music and how the soundtrack is, because it reminds me of something created by the musician Brian Eno, which is called the Oblique Strategies. And essentially, the Oblique Strategies are a list of about 100 cards, and each of them have sort of prompts on, and some of the prompts are sort of fairly straightforward, like, swap instrument. Obviously, Eno uses it in a musical format. But obviously it's sort of things like, swap instruments, and then it's sort of... And some of the stuff are things like, for example... just give you a good example. Don't be frightened of cliches. And obviously, I know Art Sqool is trying to do that in a more artistic, as an artistic prompt. But it's, as Danny said, it is a very interesting sort of tool. It's sort of almost like something you would get used to sort of start the creative juices flowing before you went and did sort of artistic things generally. So I mean, it's a nice little game. It's basically, as you said, as you said, Dark. It's when was the last time you sort of did something for yourself and sort of draw for yourself rather than for an audience? So
that's pretty much it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's Art Sqool. I would say check it out. It's on itch.io. It's also on Steam, but don't get it on Steam because fuck Steam. Get it on itch.io. That way the developer gets more of a cut of the money you spend. And, like, it's especially good if you're creative, but if you have a few friends and you want to kind of do something interesting together, this is something you want to try. Yeah, everyone gets a copy and then just kind of share the weird stuff you made. The next pick is Elmo's, and what did you pick? Is it the Hex?
Congratulations, you have completed Dark